Welcome to this podcast episode of Your Spiritual Business Coach. I am your host, Ashu. I am the coach for light leaders ready to own their fierce self expression and build audiences that trust you with their eyes closed. We do this by integrating feline energy, which helps you birth match made in heaven offers and whisker licking good marketing. In this episode, which is called The Mystical Cat How to Run Your Business Intuitively through Channeling, I am going to share with you how to use spirituality in business. A lot of people I talk to tend to leave spirituality behind. I literally have people on discovery calls telling me that I feel like I need to leave my spirituality aside when I'm running business, when I'm trying to make sales, because they just don't know how to mix the two together. They've never seen it happen, and the typical business world just never teaches you to honor that intuition. And this is a big part of my work, where I help my clients through channeling and spiritual strategies to show them that there is a different way to run your business, one where spirituality and business merge together. And to show you a living proof of this, apart from me and my clients, I have today a very lovely guest with me, Athina, on the podcast. Athina is a trance channeler and supports light workers to activate their channeling abilities and become powerful light leaders. Welcome to the podcast, Athena. I am so excited to have you here. I have binge listened all your podcast episodes and the activations you have in there. They're so juicy. I would love for you to introduce yourself to the audience listening to this. Can you share about the moment when you were still finding your claws? How did you step into your power? What are you all about?
Thank you so much for that beautiful introduction, and I'm so happy and grateful to be here. So thank you so much, Ashu, for having me. Yes, it has been quite a journey to get to where I am, because I feel like there's one thing for the spiritual gifts to actually come on, like all the psychic channeling gifts to actually come on. And it's like, great, I've got those gifts, abilities now. But then stepping into your power and being able to share those and share that work, embody it, claim it, use your voice is very different. And I feel like a lot of people get stuck where they're like, my gifts are activated, I've stepped in my psychic ability, but I have fear, hesitation about actually sharing that and going forward with it. And for me, it was definitely like, that was actually quite a big journey for me and a long journey for me, because I was someone who struggled with pretty severe low self-worth, people pleasing, over giving, because I had very abusive teenage years. There were all of these patterns and stuff that were there for me that then made it quite difficult for me to stand up, claim my space, and ask for what I actually desired. So even though I knew this was what I wanted, Spirit was telling me, yes, Athena, go share. It was like the voice in my head that was keeping me quite stuck. So for me, actually journeying through that healing, the reclaiming, using my voice, owning my desires, has been just as much of a powerful transformational journey. And I can honestly say, if I hadn't done that, I wouldn't be where I am now. And honestly, I think there's still layers that I'm working through. You know, like I'll be like, oh no, I'm good with the boundaries. And then it'll be like, oh, there's a little thing for you to work through here and shift through here. So it's like, I feel like there's continuous levels. And honestly, I think as like life gets better, income grows, we need to keep becoming a match for that. And we become a match through this evolution of ourselves, of being able to claim more, hold more, own more. And that is what our spiritual gifts actually really require us to be able to own it.
I love what you've said about we get the voices, we get what we need to do, but that actual paralyzing feeling that comes when you're about to do it. And I work with so many spiritual entrepreneurs, and they're exactly the same thing. I have this offer, but I don't know if someone will buy. What if I'm making stuff up? Oh, that's such a big one. What if I'm making stuff up and it's not real? That's exactly the feeling I felt yesterday while I was delivering a channeled message. But every time you get a reconfirmation of, oh wait, I need to speak what is coming through, and the things that come in return is just beautiful. So you mentioned that you went from an abusive childhood and everything to where you are now. Could you tell me where you are now? What are you doing now?
In business, in life, in spirituality, in all the things. I love it. And you know, where I am very proud of where I am now to where I've been. And I really believe that if I hadn't done the healing work, if I hadn't done the inner work, I wouldn't be, it doesn't matter how powerful or amazing my gifts are, I wouldn't be able to live the life that I meant to live. So right now, what I'm doing is I have a beautiful spiritual business that I'm so passionate about, that I love so much, teaching others to channel and channeling in it myself every single day. I'm just in creation mode, writing, creating courses, working on creating activations, and that is my highest joy, and I'm just loving it. I have a beautiful sacred union with my wonderful husband, and we spend a lot of time channeling together, creating courses together, like doing everything I love to do, but together, which I feel very, very blessed for, because I do see it a lot in my world around me, that women are desiring to have that sacred union where their partner can meet them on that spiritual level. So I do feel very, very blessed to have a husband that can. I've just a couple of weeks ago returned back home from, we did a big event in London and then in Ibiza, and we've got another event coming up in Gold Coast, and I'm actually running that one with my best friend who's also on this spiritual entrepreneur path. So I love to collaborate, I love to co-create, and I'm just feel very blessed that this is my life, just this beautiful channeled co-creation of my highest joy.
I think you are living the dream of almost a lot of spiritual entrepreneurs. And I love the aspect of when you said channeling with your husband. I was like, oh my God, I would love that. I would love if my partner was slightest bit inclined towards listening to the things that go in my head. I love all that you shared with me. And Gold Coast, I am in Australia right now. So it's crazy that I wasn't in Australia 1.5 years ago. And we meeting up at this specific point is just so many synchronicities. Coming to the section of your expertise, I love that you talked about channeling, because that's exactly what I want to explore with you. I work on a concept based on feline energy, and that's all about embodying the energy of the cat or the big cat, whatever cat likes you. And there are 5 pillars in it, and one of the pillars is intuitive wisdom, because cats are so mystical and they have so much information from the other worlds. And I think you fit so beautifully in that pillar. You're like such an expert in that. And I would love for you to tell me, what is channeling in business? How does it work? What I think there's so many implications of it. And I want to see, because you said you're channeling courses, you're channeling content, you're channeling all of these things. Tell me more about how are you doing it and where all can a person use it?
Such a great question. Thank you so much for asking that. Yes. So channeling, I use it for every single part of my life. And for a long time, I had just used it in my personal life. It was my spirit, even in my romantic life, it was my spirit guides who said, you have to go meet up with that man who was my husband. Because I said, no. And they were like, you have to go. And I was like, okay. And then I did, and he became my husband. And lots of little synchronicities like that in my personal life, like being told where to move, where to live, all of these things. And it was very much, and with my healing journey, it was massive. And I got to a point where I was like, great, I'm so excited. I get to channel for other people. I get to channel healing, support people. And I got to a point where I'm like, okay, but I really want to grow my business. I want to have more impact. I want to have more abundance. I want to have, the life of my dreams. And one day I was like, why don't I just channel for my business? Like, I channel for everything else in my life. Why wouldn't I be channeling for my business? So I sat down and I began to ask my spirit guides, what are the best offerings that I'm here to share? What should my offerings be? And I really channel on absolutely everything. So my entire business, like if you go onto my website, it's entirely channeled. So I mean, like the sales pages are completely channeled. My content, some of my content, not all of my content, some of it is strategic, but a lot of it is channeled. My offerings themselves, so when I work with an offering, I'm not just kind of like from my head going, what would be a really good offering that would serve my audience? I really think about, well, what is my soul here to share, and what offering wants to choose me? So I see offerings as spiritual beings who choose us to co-create. We're the vessel that they choose to come through earth to. And they're these beautiful beings that choose us because they have a consciousness that earth needs. And when we can co-create and channel and speak to that offering, it becomes a co-creation. It's not about us being like, oh, it has to be like this and this many people. We get to ask that offering, okay, how many people are aligned for you right now? And what's the best launch? And what is the ideal client that we need to bring in? So it's like we're not trying to figure things out. Rather, we're rising to the soul contracts we already have and everything that is already there to support us. And we're opening up to be, it's like being led. We're divinely led, divinely guided, not trying to figure everything out. And so for me, a lot of, well, all of my programs, and it's a lot of surrendering, right? So when Goddess Isis says, okay, Athena, tomorrow you're launching Isis car, and I'm like, oh, okay, if you say so, like, let's do it. And then it sold out that week, and it's like, oh, okay. And she said, the people who need this are in your field right now, go promote it. Even like down to the pricing, like all of my prices are channeled. And I remember when I first started this in my business, I really struggled with it because I had the low self-worth and issues with receiving and people pleasing. And Spirit would be like, you're going to charge this much. And I would say, but guys, I don't want to, like, that's so much. And they were like, go work on your money mindset. Go heal your money blocks, Athena. This is the price for it. So it's like, I really did struggle with some parts of it because of my own inner stuff. But now, like, I deepen into the trust and I work through what I need to. So pricing, offerings, strategy. So for example, I've got a free course that I'm doing next week and I've channeled that entirely. So, you know, the marketing strategy for everything, the people that we bring on, their roles, like literally inside out, every single part of my business is channeled. And I kind of think it like we can have staff members on our business who are here in the physical world, and we can have business coaches here in the physical world. But we also have staff members and business coaches in the spiritual realms, right? So every single one of us has spiritual business coaches, because what we're doing, it's not like we're just, oh, I'm going to have a job to make, I'm going to start a business so I can make some money and then retire and sell it, right? We're here because we have this deep desire to impact the world, and we recognize that we were sent here for a sacred purpose, that we deeply want to share our mission with the world and change the world through it. And so our businesses are vessel for our soul purpose, and our spiritual team is so deeply supporting us with it. Of course they want us to be successful. Of course they want us to be abundant. Of course they want us to help as many people as possible. So we have these beautiful spirit guides that we get to check in with, and I channel them every day, conversations with them, right? What's in my highest best? What's aligned? What's not? Like all the decisions, like connecting to getting that feedback, getting that information, because otherwise it's like we're trying to operate from the mind when actually we get to not only operate from the heart, but also from our divine connection. So, and that's a little bit about how I work with spirit in my business.
I loved all of that, but there's one question that pops in, which I've had a lot of my clients ask, and I have an answer for that, but I want to listen to your perspective because you said you got the message that, okay, you need to launch this program, you launch it and it gets sold out. But a
Yes.
lot of times I've seen clients launch something that has been channeled and they expect it to do well because it has been channeled, but no one signs up. They
Yeah.
do all of it and they're like, why is not anyone signing up? I listened to you, why are you not sending me clients anymore? I want your take on it. What do you think is happening there?
I love this question. And I think there's a very important the phrase you said, which is, why are you not sending me clients? Because this is something I see a lot as a channeler in business. It's very important that even though we're in this divine co-creation where we are being led, it's very important that we don't give our power away. And we never want to be like, oh, you haven't sent me any clients, or you haven't sent me any cash, or why are you being restricted? We also have to remember is that we are the co-creators. So when we think about these offerings, right? So you've received this beautiful channeled offering, right? That's so beautiful, so divine. And you're like, great. One, I've channeled that right now is the most aligned time. And two, spirit is supporting me to bring in the people. So what that means is all those people who are a match for it, who have a soul contract to receive it, they're going to come into your field. right? So they're going to be around, but that's where it's your job. It's like spirit's going to lead the horse to water, but it's your job to then do all the things that's going to convert them, because your job is actually to speak to the human. Spirit's going to bring them to you. It's going to speak to their soul. So they're in the free training, they're in the marketing, but it's your job to speak to their human. And it's the humans that struggle, their soul knows this program is a match for me, but it's the human, the ego that goes, oh, but it's a big investment. Oh, I don't know if I should. What if it doesn't work for me? Like, that's all the human. So your job as the human, it's not spirit's job to do that. It's our job to do that, is to talk to the human. And a lot of the time, this is why it's so important to be really good at sales, to be really good at marketing, and that we're connecting everything, no matter how woo it is, to something tangible, because that's what creates safety. So all of these things in marketing, like creating trust, showing value, like sales skills, are so, so, so important. And even though it's a channeled offering is coming through, we can't just forget about those things, because then we're forgetting about the humans we're actually selling to. We're thinking we're just selling to souls, whose souls are going to be like, yes, oh my God. But we know that sometimes something is soul aligned, but we still have all the human stuff come up. So this is where usually I would invite clients to go, well, let's actually have a look at your sales strategy, your marketing strategy, your messaging, to make sure, and how you're speaking to these clients, to make sure that they feel safe, they feel like they trust you, and they feel that they trust you to get the transformation that you're saying you're going to get them. Because that's when the human buys, if the soul is like, yes, this is for me. And that's the magic combination. And I believe that that is our role in this divine co-creation.
I love that answer. I love it. How I like to say it is, even if someone doesn't sign up at times because there's a lot of effort being put, yes, there's something that you can do in the strategy part of it, but maybe you were supposed to put that offer out at that time to change something in the universal codes.
Of course.
And there's also that element of, I
Mm.
like to say the sentence of, the watch on your hands is not the same as the watch on your on universe's hand. So you are expecting clients to come in those 7 days of your launch, but and you don't get them, so you blame guides and stuff like, oh, you didn't send clients my way, but chances are the person is supposed to come in 2 months time.
Mm.
But that doesn't mean that your launch is a failure. You are supposed to keep the highlights and stuff there so that people can come to you later.
Totally. I love that. And I also, from that perspective, I also think sometimes we look through our human lens, where we're like, we're here, we've got social media and marketing and stuff, and I'm looking at through my lens. And Spirit, you didn't send me the clients you said you would. And Spirit is going, yes, we did. They're right there. But they're not the ones who are like Facebook. Like, they don't understand the Facebook ins and outs, social algorithm like that. This is our realm. This is our mastery. So it's also appreciating that when they say they're going to send it to people, it means they're going to send it to our field, and they're there. So you might have people who are interested, who are like, this is really good, but it's our job to actually anchor in that sale. And you're absolutely right as well. It's sometimes the offering needs to come into this world, and it's who we become in the journey of accepting this offering, being initiated into it. We become the human that is our next level. So even just in that, we become initiated into it.
Yes, I love that. And I want to take a minute to summarize the things you said before I threw this question into you, because the kind of questions you said were so powerful in terms of what all people can ask for. Because a lot of times spiritual entrepreneurs get too much in their head thinking like, I have to figure this all by myself, and it doesn't have to be that way. So questions around, who is the ideal client for this offer, how many of people do you want to have in this offer, spirit of the offer, and all of those questions were so valuable. So if you're listening to this, make sure you go back to that and make a note of those questions, because those are the things that are going to help you. I feel like this podcast is already opening up so many new elements for spiritual entrepreneurs to run their business more spiritually and stop thinking that they have to leave their spiritual spiritual side aside if they want to be businessy. That is like a big thing that comes up for clients of mine.
Totally. And I think it's because we're creating fifth dimensional businesses, right? Like, this is a new paradigm, fifth dimensional businesses, which are bridging us into this fifth dimensional state. there's no parts of us that aren't in use. It's like all of our gifts, all of our abilities, all of our passions get to come into it in some way because it's a full expression of ourselves. And for many of us, the spirituality is so important. And not only does it get to be on the front end, but also behind the scenes, supporting us day in, day out. It is my spirituality is my number one business skill. Like, it's the number one business skill, my channeling. Like, I see the spiritual stuff as the most important. And I also know that's true because when I go back 5 years ago, 8 years ago, when I was attending all the business networking event and I was surrounded by like digital SEO, sales experts, all the things, I'm the one who went and scaled to 7 figures, and they're beautiful souls, but they're not at that level. I'm like, the marketing's great, but you need the spiritual stuff as well, because that's for so many people, that's the gap, that's the missing key.
I love how you just with that sentence have reframed how people see things. They think, oh, I am a spiritual business owner. So that's like a hindrance to me growing a scalable business and a successful business. But you just made spirituality as a catalyst for having this successful and scalable business. And I love, love, love that. Sometimes when I channel for my business, and sometimes the guidance that I get, I'm like, okay, how can I call in more people? The guidance is not around you need to improve your messaging or something. It's very random. It's something that is you need to go visit this park or do this thing or go painting or whatever. Have you had those moments, and do you have any stories around how that played out for you?
Absolutely. And I think that's a very good point, because a lot of us, when we say, I want to call in more clients, I want to like expand my offerings, what we're actually asking for is I want to expand my capacity, my energetic capacity to hold more clients. Because when we bring clients into our space, we're actually connected to them energetically. And if we are going through stuff, if we're holding on to a lot of stuff, it can actually lower our capacity. So sometimes it's like, yes, to make more sales, you got to do the sales, you got to do the marketing, but there is a limit to how many clients you can hold. Like, we all have certain limitations. For some of us, it's like this. For some of us, it's massive. And we can also expand that and work with that. And sometimes it's like, okay, I want to call in more clients. Okay, great. So you need to go and purge your anger. You're holding on to repressed anger, go purge it. Or, okay, great, you're going to do an ice bath because that's going to reset your nervous system. And your nervous system needs more support, and that's going to expand your capacity. So sometimes we have these experiences that we're guided to do because it actually then allows us to have a greater capacity to support more clients. And for myself, when it comes to like, okay, I want to increase my capacity with more clients, sign more clients, I'm very aware. I also, so just a little bit to connect to this, I also believe we all have different soul blueprints for how we're here to serve. So for example, the way that I'm predominantly here to serve is in groups. So one to group, one to many. Some people are here to serve like one-to-one. That's where they thrive. That's where they do best. Now, it doesn't mean that I can't do one-to-one. It's just my capacity for one-to-one is very limited, right? But groups, I currently have like hundreds of clients in my group programs. It feels very easy to hold them. But if I had 20 one-on-one clients, that would feel so much heavier for me because my blueprint is in that way. So it's also really important for us to follow our excitement and go, does it feel exciting for me to hold one-on-one clients or group offerings? Because that's going to reflect how we're here to share and what's going to feel easy and good. I can work on my capacity and nervous system all day, every day, and I'm still going to struggle to hold 20 one-on-one clients. But one of my coaches, all she does every day is see clients, and she has like 30, and she has no issue. She loves it. But that would probably kill me because it's like that's not my blueprint. So I think it's also seeing our gifts and our unique abilities and how we're here to serve, and making sure that we're honoring that in how we're wanting to increase our clients as well.
I love everything that you shared because that makes a lot of sense. And the aspect of you might be guided to do something else, which is going to be indirectly related to exactly what you were asking. Because sometimes when we go, like, at least this happened for me, when I started channeling for my business, I expected strategies to come through. I expected these specific things to come through and be like, oh, I wouldn't need a business coach ever now because I have this. But then I had to slowly strip away of that ego side of me because I realized, oh, it's not just going to be about make this content piece, reach out to this person. It's going to be about go to that specific thing. That's how I manifested getting a cat, like for fostering, because being an international student, I just couldn't foster a cat for a very long time. I had no transport, I had no license and stuff, and I asked, what can I do? And they told me to go to a church. I was like, that's not the answer. What do you mean? And while going to that church, I saw this poster that said, you don't need a license, you don't need anything, you just come here, we'll provide you everything, you don't even need money, we'll give you all the resources and you can foster cats now. And I was like, this is what you meant, and that is the story I keep ingrained in my head every time I get a random thing that I think is random in terms of guidance in order to grow something. I loved everything that you shared.
That's such a beautiful story. I love that so much. How beautiful. And I feel like that's what spirit does. Sometimes they're like, if you knew the full thing, and it's also in us becoming better at surrendering to the journey. Before I moved to where I live now, spirit didn't say you're going to go live there. They were like, all right, Athena, you're going to, because I didn't even know we were going to live here. They're like, all right, Athena, you're going to go up north and you're going to spend a month there. I was like, okay, great. Like, bye everyone, I'm going up north for a month. Spirit says to go. And then when I landed here, I was like, oh, this is home. This is why you took me here. And they're like, yep, this is your new home. And it became very apparent. But in the moment, I didn't know. And like with my astrocartography and the energy of the land, it's so much more supportive of me and supportive of my business. And my business has infinitely grown while I've been here, but it only came from listening to that guidance when it came through without necessarily knowing this is why you're telling me. It was just, yep, okay, great. I trust that I'm being told for my highest good, so I'm going to trust it.
I love that. The aspect of being able to trust every guidance that comes through, even if it seems this doesn't make any sense, and letting it unfold slowly because it's how they usually unfold. Because if you're not at that spiritual capacity to receive a bigger download, they'll give it to you in a smaller chunk. Like, you can digest this right now. Let's go get this. And we think, why haven't we gotten the bigger chunk right away?
Totally.
Okay, now I want to get into the segment where we go into the coach mode of you to show the people who are listening what it is actually like to work with you. So we role play as a coach and a client, and I am your client, and I would love for you to guide me on a business situation based on whatever your gifts are, whatever you feel comfortable doing on this podcast at whatever extent, so that people can learn, oh, this is what it is like to be in her containers, and I'm signing up right away, so that the human side can talk to the human side and be convinced that, yes, this is the soul nudge that I'm getting. So I would love for you to go ahead and see if there is something that you could guide me on in terms of my business. Or would you like me to throw a problem at you and make it like a real conversation?
So we can do it a few ways. I
Yeah.
think what you might most enjoy is if you do give me an intention or something you're needing support around. Otherwise, Spirit will be like, let's introduce her to her guides and these people. And that's fun, but it might be more helpful to you have something tangible.
Yes. Okay. Absolutely. So, I have a couple of areas I'm going to try focusing on one since this is a podcast. I would love, let's take the example that we were talking about. I want to impact more people.
Yeah.
I want to be holding hundreds of people in my group containers or something of that sort. What is the guidance for me in terms of what are the steps I need to take, even if they are indirect chunks of me being able to go to that level? Because there are times of moments of, am I meant for this? Maybe I'm not. Maybe I should give up. Maybe I'm not that special. And all of that goes down. So, yeah.
All right, let's have a look. So I'm going to call across time and space, your beautiful spiritual team, guides, angels, ancestors, higher self. Okay, thank you, thank you, thank you. They're saying, we've been waiting to talk to you. Okay. They organize this always. Okay, hello, beautiful guides. Okay, so today Ashley has an intention around the next level, growing, scaling. Is this fully aligned for her? So who is going to be supporting us with this today? Okay, so you have a beautiful female guide that's stepping forward. What's your name? Simena. Simena is her name, like Simena. Simena is stepping forward today to help us and support us with this. So, is this one? Okay, so with your soul path that you're currently on, what she is saying right now is like you are where you need to be. But there is this feeling of like, there's still some like I want to describe it as not the feeling of like 100% aligned. Oh my God, da, 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 da. And it's because there's more gifts for you and more stuff that's going to come online. But she's saying it's almost like that's over there. And to get there, you actually have to go through what you're going through right now. So it's like you are actually where you need to be, but you're also juggling and holding simultaneously at the same time the knowing that things are going to change and shift, and there's a higher embodiment that is calling you of the expression of your soul purpose, because there are more gifts, more things online. You definitely have like very strong leadership capabilities. That's what she's like full body goosebumps. She's saying leadership, 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 leadership. Like you are here to lead. And I would like, they're showing me stage as well. I would also be saying for you, is it right now or a little bit later? Soon, especially for next year. I don't actually know anything about your programs or what you offer, but what I'm being shown for you is I'm being shown that there are two things that are going to really serve you long term. And like these things are not going away like anytime soon. And the sooner you start to get into them and bring them forward, it's going to be very supportive for your business. So I see a group program, like a high-end group program for, is it spiritual women in business? It is spiritual women in business, but it's almost, yeah, like soul-led women in business, but there's that spiritual aspect of it as well. It's even like intuitive women in business. There is a high-end program around that, and 2 events. You've got really, I'm not sure if you've done events before, but you've got really strong events like ability. You've got a very strong ability to hold a space, to lead an event, to run an event, and create a transformational event. And I can really see you doing this quite like consistently long term, and it's going to be very supportive of you. And they're saying like ultimately, like as your business grows, like it's going to be a really good roadmap for you. It's like the program and the events, and having both of those with everything else in conjunction, you know, still having some one-on-one, still working online, like doing all these things. It's very much in conjunction, but the events and the high-end program is very, very important for you. Now, there is this energy of identity shift. She started the identity shift? No, okay. So there is a bit of an identity shift that that needs to happen, that you haven't yet started. And I call this our little death's rebirth, right? Because it's like when an old identity dies, so we can embody the new identity. And it's like I'm seeing the events in person, like here energetically, and right now we're here. And so there's a journey, but you're like looking at the door and you're like, I haven't quite walked through that death first to then embody the rebirth. And so what is needed for her to walk through this step? Okay, so 1, deciding that she fully wants it. And they're saying you have to really fully decide that you want this and you want this path, and you're willing to, they're saying there's something that you will have to let go of, that the part of you is still holding onto and doesn't maybe want to fully let go of. And so for you, it doesn't mean you have to let go of it right now, but it means you have to choose this path as a priority. And then there is a lot for you of reclaiming. And it almost like, I want to call it not shadow work, but it's like soul fragmentation, reclaiming parts of yourself. So it's like calling, I'm seeing past life work, I'm seeing inner child work, but it's almost like they're showing me you're reaching and pulling this part back of you, pulling this part back for you. And they're showing me it's going to do 2 things. Firstly, it's going to activate a lot of the spiritual gifts that you have like dormant, but 2, it's going to heal the part of you that is almost like going, oh, that's my mission. Ooh, that's my mission. And it's like, it almost feels like a little bit of worthiness stuff. It almost feels like a little bit of, it's avoidance energy. It's like, it's not that I'm 100% fully, yes, claiming this. And there is some inner child stuff. There is a little bit about like, there's some family stuff in there as well. Like there's lots of little things. And they said how you're going to shift that is actually by this reclaiming work, like looking at the parts of yourself that you're pushing away. And it's actually a journey of like fully looking at it. They're like, this is what it is now. Like your journey into this next level is actually going to be fully claiming and fully looking at it. If there is one piece of advice that like I would like for you to take and remember and hold onto, it's that events are going to serve you, right? Like events, I don't feel like you can go wrong with events. And yes, like I built my business on events. It can take time for them to grow and get big. But like if you have events as a very strong strategy for you, it's going to be so deeply supportive for you and it's going to do really, really well. And it's also going to provide you a level of like another level of fulfillment. Like they're really saying like there's a fulfillment piece for you that can only come to you from, have you run an event before?
I was just holding back from saying this. I thought I'll
Okay.
tell you once you're done. I hosted my first ever in-person event this year in Jan.
Oh,
So it
wow.
is crazy that you mention all of this. Yeah.
Okay. So we definitely want you hosting more events. It's very, very important. Did you enjoy it? Did you like it?
I loved the aspect of it, but there were a lot of things that you said that resonate with me. Is I don't feel good. This could have been better. There could have been more people. I don't know what I did wrong. And those things that, oh, I need to fully commit to this, that this is what I want to do. I did it out of a push that I have this event in my head for over 2 years. And after 2 years of it, I was like, okay, I'm going to put it out there. It's a lot of
Yeah.
sitting on it. And that's
Yeah.
where it was a little forceful energy.
Yeah.
But then I was happy that I made the mark of putting myself on that path. Yeah.
Yeah. And your guides are saying, look, the reality is you were born here for this path. You were born here for this path. You can push it off. You can choose not to claim it. You can say, oh, maybe I'll hold a little bit of this path and that path, but it's just going to prolong what's ultimately going to happen, which is you walking this path, because it can be like right now or it can be in 20 years. And like they're saying like it doesn't matter, like this is a path that you're going to walk because it's a path you were born for. It's your gifts, it's your soul, it's everything. And that is like it's like you choosing it. You've really got to choose it and go, okay, I'm trusting and I'm all in, like show me the way, I'm ready. And events, it starts with more events. I absolutely feel like there's another event for you. And events are out of all the strategies, they are the hardest, but they also have the highest reward, right? Like the rewards are the highest, but they do really require a dedication to get good at them, to understand them, to run them. But for you, they are like a full soul match. And I really, really feel it's important for you to continue them. You've got an exciting journey ahead of you. You've got a lot of people that you're going to help. You've got a lot of leadership traits. You've got a lot to share. And I think you can feel that. And it's just you choosing it and then reclaiming. There's that healing work, reclaiming the parts of you. The gifts are going to come back online and then the path is going to get easy. But it feels like a lot of the resistance is parts of you going, if there's resistance or if this feels blocked, we're not going to go fully into the plan, right? Into the timeline. So the internal resistance or the resistances feel just because the timeline hasn't actually fully been chosen. And I think you fully choosing it, committing to it, being like, all right, 100%, like I'm all in, I'm willing to do it, like let's go. I think that's when you're actually going to have really quite big shifts around business.
Thank you so much. I wasn't expecting so much to come through, and I already have my next event mapped out. Like right now, as you talk, I'm like, okay, next event next year. I know when to do it and what am I going to do here. I have all of that coming through. But I guess
Yay.
this entire conversation was a beautiful reflection of if you could do this in such a short span of time, the amount of results, results in terms of internal transformations and guidance your clients would get working with you in a long-term container. And I love that you said if you give one message, and that's exactly what I would love for you to do for the audience listening to
Yeah.
this. If someone listening to this episode wants to lead their business more intuitively, or a message that's coming through, one action step that they can take right away, or a thing that they should carry with them.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you for your kind words as well. And I also want to say, I feel the energy of your events, and I can also see that they're going to be very, very powerful and transformative. So anybody who's listening and feels the resonance, I think it's going to serve you very well to go to these events. All right, so let's have a look collectively. What is okay. So collectively right now, they're saying for whenever this podcast is going to come out, it's interesting because 2025 is going to bring huge shifts energetically to Earth, to humanity. It's like it's quite a jump. And towards the end of the year and even the start of the year, we're going to feel like this almost like like I'm being shifted out of it. And they're saying it's like for light leaders, spiritual business owners, it's going to be even more amplified, and it's going to be full body goosebump. It's going to be amplified in like areas where they're saying where you haven't fully claimed like the soul path and the paths, and two, the parts that are not in full alignment, parts that are just like why is this even here, this is not a full yes. And it's for a lot of people, like up until February, it's going to be quite dramatic in the releasing of it, like, oh, this person walked away, or my business completely changed, or I didn't expect that to happen, or this launch flopped because this offer is actually not fully aligned. Like all of these things are going to come up, and up from now until February, it's really, really important that you're looking through that lens of everything of like, okay, up until February, I'm being shown everything that I need to release. And everything that is happening is because there's such a significant shift happening on Earth. And us as spiritual light leaders are leading that shift. So I've got to embody it first, which means everything that's out of alignment is going to shift. So for you, everybody who's listening, this is the time for you really to start already. Everything that you've been kind of like, I know I need to change this, or this doesn't feel good, or even like something as small as this branding isn't really me anymore. It's time. Shift it. It's time. Like now is the time, and it's going to be easier if you do it now before 2025, because 2025, the energy is going to make you shift it. So start now, start releasing, start letting go. And it's also a year, the energies are going to be so strong coming onto Earth. They're saying there's also going to be a lot of amplification. So your message, your branding, everything gets to be amplified and expanded as well. So it's going to be very powerful, but it's important that you have that alignment, because we want everything aligned to be amplified, because everything's going to be amplified. So the more aligned, the easier that feels. Yeah. So that's what's coming through.
That I am so in awe of the generosity you've just shared on this podcast and the overflowing abundance of information you've shared here. And I want people to stay in touch with you. So I am going to link everything that I can and everything I know about you in the show notes. But is there a specific place you love hanging out on? Where can people find you, and in what capacity can they work with you?
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you so much. So you can find me on Instagram. That's probably where I am the most. Athina Bailey. Though it depends on when you're listening to this podcast, because yesterday I finally changed my name to my husband's name. So my whole brand's about to change. So we'll still keep Athina Bailey, but the new handle will be Athina Kroll. So we'll have to update that as well. And you can also find me on YouTube, Light Leaders Ascension School. So that's where I kind of am hanging out the most. And you can come receive some free activations, energy work, channelings, all the good stuff is on there.
I love that. Thank you so much, Athena, for coming on today and just sharing your beautiful energy with us.
Thank you so much, Ashley. It's been beautiful to be here, to get to share with your audience. Thank you for allowing me to share my purpose and gifts as well.
Thank you for tuning into your Spiritual Business Coach podcast and for listening to this episode. You've made it till the end of this episode, which means you've received a lot of universal codes that were packed into it. So take your time to receive them and let them get coded in your soul. If you're feeling a little too generous, I would love for you to drop me a review or rating on whatever platform you're listening this on. If you feel the nudge to tell me what you felt about the episode or to inquire about how you can work with me and this feline energy, drop me a message on Instagram at Listening Stories Untold. I will see you in the next episode.